Hi, everybody. I'm Lee at Fresh Astrology, and this is a part of a larger discussion I'm having with my community about how I actually see astrology, how I experience it, how I see it moving through my clients, my family, my friends, the way I just intuitively think it really works. Um, can I prove this? No, but this is just the way it seems to me. And it seems more like truth to me when I look at it this way. I do not think that the planets are out there like big puppet masters, pulling our strings and pushing us around and making us do things. I think it's more like this. I think I am Saturn and you are Saturn, that we all are Saturn together. We all have Saturn energy flowing through us at all times. We're born with Saturn inside of us, the ability to express Saturn qualities, the ability to use the strengths of Saturn, the ability to veer over into maybe the negative side of Saturn expression. We're born with this. And if you ever look at your chart, really no matter what discipline of chart, whether it's Eastern or Western, whatever chart you're looking at your whole person. So it's not just where your sun is. It's not just where your moon is. A chart shows all the planets and the sun and the moon, all the zodiac signs. You are actually all the zodiac signs. That'll be a different discussion, but it'll be very similar. Saturn, you were born with full expression of Saturn. And when you look at your chart, you'll see, what sign it was in when you were born. You'll see what house it was in. And that's a clue. It's like a door you can unlock. And it's like a shortcut to get to that Saturn strength. If you ever want to use Saturn energy to your benefit and get more in touch with it, one shortcut is to kind of look where it is in your chart and what zodiac sign. Another way to shortcut to that energy is by looking where Saturn is now. But even if that confuses you and you think, well, I don't know how to do that, I don't know what you mean, all you need to know is that the expression of all the qualities of Saturn, it's always been with you. It was there when you were born. It's never left you. Nobody can tear it out of you. You can't tear it out of yourself. Saturn energy is always flowing through you, and your ability to express Saturn is always there. So you can choose how you want to use Saturn. The higher expression of Saturn includes, there are a whole bunch of ways you could do it. But the higher expression of Saturn is your ability to be a good student, your ability to be open-minded, to receive information. Your ability to teach others is Saturn. Your ability to establish guidelines for yourself or in anything. Your ability to follow rules. Even your ability to not follow rules can be Saturn. But your ability to recognize where the lanes are drawn and where the rules are, when you've gone over the line, when you haven't, that's all Saturn. Saturn really wants learning. And it's the part of you that wants to learn. I mean, have you ever thought about yourself, I love learning. I love listening to people. I love watching shows about history. I love, whatever your thing is, or, whether you just want to learn knitting or how to paint or how to build a car, whatever it is you love to learn. There's something you love to learn. Everybody has something they love to learn, something they're fascinated by, something where they just are like sponges, soaking it all up, soaking up the knowledge. That's Saturn inside of you. And if you ever have felt like you want to put someone in their place and show them like, hey, you crossed the line, or you've gone too far, or you can't do that, that's Saturn. So that part of us that wants to tell people what the rules are, tell them when they've broken them, maybe pat them on the head when they have done well. And that's us being Saturn. And then it's also us being good teachers. And the best teachers are actually kind and open-minded and gentle. The best teachers are more like mentors, or they lead by example. So you can tap into Saturn energy by becoming a good mentor, becoming a good guide for others. Oh, let's see. Chris says, do retrogrades in a natal chart block or change the expression of a planet like Saturn? In my mind, no. That's not the way I look at it. The way I look at it is those facts. So those would be facts, right? Like a retrograde would be a fact. Did you list anything else, or just retrogrades? Okay. So something like a retrograde is a fact. And I'm assuming you mean the retrograde of Saturn. It would be like, you know how I was saying, it's like a key to a door that you can move through to access your Saturn. When you know there's a retrograde, that's like another clue as to how you shortcut to your Saturn energy. Like if you're ever feeling disconnected, like I don't know where to find my Saturn, like Lee Express Astrology says I can have access to my Saturn energy, but I'm, really clueless. Well, they're clues. You look at the house, you look at the zodiac sign, and you think, well, if it was retrograde, what does that mean about me and the way I tend to express my Saturn energy? You can start contemplating that. And I want to encourage people to do their own contemplation, but without judgment, without negative judgment. There's a tendency in astrology to mete out negative judgment about a person when they have certain facts in their chart. And if you can do some self-contemplation about how do I learn? How do I teach? How do I demonstrate what I know? You can start to look at the facts of how you already tend to do things. You can look at the placement of Saturn, like what sign was it in, what house was it in, and the fact that it's retrograde. And notice if there's something unique about how you learn. Notice if there's something unique about how you teach. Notice if there's something unique about how you follow rules or don't follow rules. Start to notice what the reality is for you, and then see, well, how might that, that fact that it was retrograde, what is that a key to? What does that show me about how I access Saturn energy? It'll be self-revelatory. And that's what I'm trying to help teach people, is that you can be self-revelatory you can use astrology as a path toward, a type of enlightenment. But you have to do it with less, we all have to do it, and encourage everyone to do it with less judgment and like the punitive nature of astrology, like classical astrology. We want to get at the self-discovery by kind of pushing the judgment aside. And a retrograde definitely is not a negative thing, but it may have certain characteristics that are interesting. So notice, I think a great way for you to start to unravel what that means for you is you want to start noticing. I think one place to start is, how do I learn? Do I learn a little differently? Like, am I an auditory learner? Am I, a visual learner? Do I mix up, my number sequences? Like, is there something interesting about how I learn? Do I learn better experientially? When I teach others how to do things, what's my style? And that gives you a clue about how you express Saturn. And then once you have that understanding, if you want to improve upon it in any way, you have to start with where you are. So try to get some just self-reflection going around this, and notice how you do it already and how you've done it for your whole life. And then if you want to shift anything, you can. But first, you need that self-awareness of how you actually do express it. So just remember, you are Saturn. You have full Saturn power at all times. It never goes anywhere. It's certainly not less than by a retrograde or any placement. Your Saturn energy is not less than, no matter what house it's in, no matter what sign it's in. It's just has its own fingerprint. It's got its own little special thing, it's special sauce, because it's in a sign. And it's really your clue as to how to fully express it in a way that works for you. So, oh, good, Wendy. I'm glad you get it. Yes, it is very nice. It's wonderful to look at it this way. It's very freeing. And Patty says, amen for removing the negativity and judgment. Yeah, we don't need any more of that. And it's not enlightening. It doesn't shine a light and a path forward. It just feels, it feels bad. It feels limiting. So anyway, you are Saturn and you possess the full power of Saturn at all times. All right, take care, guys.